Here's the problem. You're either looking for growth, feeling bored, or you're standing in the overlapping section of a Venn diagram that screams, both, or is there more? Has life started to resemble those last-minute grocery trips on the weekend, shopping for the sake of sustenance between the slots blocked out on our agendas, hoping to make the best out of whatever we swipe off the shelves, boiling into countless unintentional stews, perspiring into an existential crisis that haunts you in the dead of night or at the crack of dawn? Well then, here is the problem. More or less mine and possibly yours. In a life full of cycles akin to merry-go-round rides, how can we escape the numbing orbits and even out the hollow dips to live fuller revolutions of our times? It may take a lifetime to solve a question like mine, but why work harder when we can simply begin our deduction with the end in mind? You see, to live a fuller life, you must first know how to die right. At the foot of your deathbed, how would you wish to recount the life you've lived to those around you? What kind of story would you tell? What would be the objectives of all your battles? The takeaways you empty into the open before inhaling your last breath? It's a loaded question, I know. Yet, this could be the cheat sheet to materialize the solutions we seek. If you want love, focus on strengthening human connections. If you want fortune, concentrate on building your wealth. If you want a legacy, hone in on how you want to be remembered. The darkness is always less daunting when you have a silhouette in mind to help you categorize the unknowns you encounter along the journey. The monsters perceived, shape-shifting back into princesses awaiting for your arrival, yearning to be the piece that completes the grander schemes of your puzzle. It gets to be simple if you're aware of the variables. As the saying goes, it takes two to tango. One pulling the other, two halves completing a circle. The inputs affecting the outputs are internal, bleeding into our external. We simultaneously exist in two separate worlds. One where the happenings are prescribed by destiny, the other operating in indifferent serendipity. The scopes we choose to perceive life with determines the realm we tread onward. Everything can be clear as daylight or bare as the desert. The unwavering truth is that the external is beyond modification, a dependent variable bound to run its course. The independent wheelhouse rests in our cerebral cortex, steering us through the realities we choose to partake in. In the end, the questions we ponder aren't unique in nature. After all, the lives brought into this reality have all bathed beneath the same sun for millennia. The key that binds these semicircles through the tug-of-war in every expansion and the reverse action is constant, unaltered by the vanities born in the centuries succeeding one in another. In the ever-changing cycle we call life, what remains untouched to mankind is sprawling over diverse terrains. That'll be the urgency to meet our basic human needs. Have you noticed a decline in our inclination to connect with one another? The importance is stripped from our internal needs in favor of the external. We begin to prioritize the superficial, which won't hold the same value in another millennium. We assign more values to placeholders before our well-being, as if in a race bidding on coffins before the end date is near. We've forgotten how to just be, let alone being human and tuning into the senses gifted to those fortunate enough to receive them. Our sustenance is left in the back seats as we speed run our way, going 50 on a 30, with teens acting more like 20s. We lived with the notion that life is short, and thus the logical solution is to do more within the same window, naively charging towards the same misconception. Well, I was no different, but boy, was I wrong. We do not see things as they are. We see things as we are. We all exist in the same circle, tethered to human limitations. Fullness should be a measurable value, but ours have been rewired to an irrational number, an insatiable variable we thought should be treated like a constant. To us, our potential is the equivalent of fullness, only come to find out that it morphs into an asymptote or a paradox that could never be attained until we draw the curtains. Don't get me wrong, our potential should remain limitless, just not as the right candidate to represent completeness. Because potential isn't a definition, but a byproduct of the way we choose to live our lives. These days, I catch myself saying a full circle moment more times than I've ever had before. Connecting with mentors, peers, or even my forgotten selves has spun me back in a loop, tying knots through cross paths, forming hoops I didn't think I'd jump through. But beyond these pockets of dopamine boosts, what truly constitutes a complete circle, and how many revolutions do we get to experience before the whistle is blown and we call it a truce? To live a fuller life is to focus on the present, enjoying it to the fullest extent. For the past can't be changed and the future is yet to come. When we live in the cycle of 24 hours, tending to our innate needs and finding contentment in our daily actions, there is nothing else we truly lack. And from that point on, the only operation left for anything new is addition. Whatever more comes our way becomes a surplus of blessings. It's a kind of contentment that defies logic or the rules of arithmetic. For the variable of change is left to face itself head-on, because we've seen all there is to see in us, the good, the bad, and the potential within the undiscovered. To live a fuller life, we must also understand life. Everywhere I've looked, I find love in my hands. Love for others, love for self, love for the variables that, whether filled with life or inanimate by default, love for the inexplainable, love for the unknown, and whatever there is to come. It's a profound quality encapsulated in doses of different shapes and sizes, an atomic glance or an embrace that engulfs you like waves. Nothing I say or have said should be groundbreaking to you, for love lies deep in our roots the day life breathed upon us. But so much of life has been filled with growth. Inches and centimeters we go, farther from the simple truth as we busied ourselves to turn another leaf rather than being mesmerized by the veins marked on each blade. You may find this perspective childish, and rightfully so. The goal isn't just to seek the distances we'll grow, but to master the craft of truly knowing what has been known. The warmth in each syllable in a welcoming exchange, the greeneries bearing seasonal beauties, the ink splayed on papers marking your existence, the bodies you've passed, faces you've seen, locations you've been, and the memories you've lived. To know love is to know water in all its properties and wonders. It's a never-ending process as we seek to fill life in various vessels. But if we choose to see love, to see life attentively, with genuineness, and find it in the cracks of seemingly concrete walls, that'll be the solution, once and for all. There is always a long-winded answer if you're curious enough, or a shorter one if you're still on a time crunch. To live a fuller life, begin with the end in mind. Do the kind of things that comes from the heart, that makes you feel alive. Pay attention, stay authentic, and always proceed with love. Now, to solve your problem, it begs the question, what exactly is it that you want? Think about it, but don't think too hard. It's right in front of you. Just don't look too far.